Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the MidBeach Neighborhood Association's Wednesday, August 3rd, 2021's meeting. This is a special meeting. It is not a membership meeting. This is not a meeting where we will go over all of our items. So we're going to go real quick in the introductions and at the beginning of this meeting to get to our special guest so that they have an opportunity to join in a panel discussion. After that panel discussion, we're going to hear from a project in the same area around the same topic, and it's 533's development here on Collins Avenue. So welcome everyone. I'm Ana Marie Ferreira de Melo. I am the president of the MidBeach Neighborhood Association. I'd like to begin by introducing our other board members from MBNA. And before we do that, MBNA represents condominiums and hotels from 24th Street to 63rd Street along Collins Avenue and Indian Creek Drive. Of all the properties in this area, more than 60% of properties are active paying members of MBNA this year. We are always looking to grow our membership and to grow our representation. If you'd like to participate, the way it works is that only one person from each property is a voting member, but that does not limit you from attending these meetings, from accessing all of the materials that can be found on the web, www.midbeach.net. I put that www there just for Alicia. And for those of you that are joining us for the first time, these meetings are all recorded, so you can check them out online and YouTube, and always feel free to follow up with us directly via email, mbna@midbeachna.com. Okay, to begin, Alicia Casanova is our ex officio member. Alicia, you want to give a quick wave to everyone?
Hello, how are you? Welcome everybody. We have 46 participants, so very exciting meeting to have so many show up today. Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Melinda Pierce, our treasurer and secretary. Treasurer, Melinda.
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, Melinda.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining the meeting. Glad that everyone could attend in the middle of the summer when we are all on vacation somewhere, or hopefully on vacation. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining tonight.
Thank you, Esteban Porcelli, the chair of the Indian Creek Working Group, our drone guru. Esteban?
Yes, welcome everybody. This is going to be an important Zoom meeting. I'm excited to hear about the invites. Thank you.
Okay. And Robert Wabinowitz, our GeoBond representative.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And without further ado, I'll give the floor back.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle Redlake, representing the Fountain Blue.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for attending a very important meeting tonight.
Thank you, Michelle. And Deborah Lake is absent and unable to join us today. So thanks, everyone. We have a couple of announcements. As you know, our September, this year's election year, and in September we will be doing a candidate forum for Group 1 and Group 3. So all of the candidates have been invited to participate on September 1st from 6 to 8 to 7:30 p.m. at our candidate forum. Like every year, it's fun, it's engaging. I wish it was in person. I still think we're going to do it virtual. I don't think that's going to change from here to September. And so this year will be a little bit different. We do have several candidates running, and so please join us. These candidate forums are very specific to MidBeach. They're specific to our issues. As you know, this is a unique part of Miami Beach. We are surrounded by FDOT roads and a state beach that is managed by the county. And we have several agencies to work with throughout on all of our issues. And so we welcome you to join that meeting, and that will be a formal MBNA meeting. So there'll be minutes and there'll be an update from our working groups. There is a Collins Avenue working group and a Beach Walk working group. Both of those are chaired by Alicia Casanova. Alicia is going to be having a workshop, which is supposed to be an in-person charrette on August 18th, as many of you have received the information. It's for the FDOT project from 41st to 63rd, where we'll be under construction between 4 to 5 years in our community. And so if you're interested in participating and becoming more involved in that project, please reach out to us and we'll connect you to Alicia, and she'll let you know that when that meeting is coming and how you can participate, either by taking the survey or providing your feedback through the wiki map, etc. Melinda Pierce is our membership chair. So if you are not receiving these invites, or if you have other folks within your properties that you would like to see participate or join one of the working groups, please reach out to us and we'll connect you to Melinda Pierce. Right now, our beach and water quality working group does not have a co-chair or chair from our board, but we do have a general resident member, Oscar Vasquez, that has been leading that effort, and Esteban Porcelli from the board has been assisting him with sargassum or any beach water quality issues. Okay, so before we begin today, we are featuring, I want to welcome Commissioner Gongora. Welcome to the meeting. Leda, on behalf of Commissioner Steinberg, welcome to the meeting. Lewis, on behalf of Commissioner Richardson, welcome to the meeting. I believe I did see Amadeus on behalf of Commissioner Minor. Thank you so much for being with us.
Commissioner Minor is there too.
Oh, Commissioner Minor, you are also there. Welcome, Commissioner Minor. And is there anyone else, any other elected officials I might have forgotten?
No, I don't see any others.
Okay. Well,
DM, can you please identify yourself, DM? And owner's iPhone, and Jacob and Marino. Can you please click your picture, your name, and rename yourselves and put your condo or hotel name or organization, please, on the screen. We're recording this meeting and we're also taking screenshots. Barbara, can you do the same, please? If not, we're gonna have to put you in the waiting room. Thank you.
so today we are going to introduce a new, how do you want to use Sobe delivery? Raise your hands if you've ever used Sobe deliveries. Is there anyone that's ever used Sobe deliveries?
My name is Noah.
No? Okay, so Audrey, if you'd like to unmute yourself and share with us a little bit about your company and your logo and your link and all the information on our website. So we'll go ahead and share the screen and present that information, but please join us and share a little bit more about your company.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the meeting. Hello, everyone. I'm very grateful to join this virtual meeting today. I'm going to introduce you my business. It's a new business. I've started like a year ago, and we make local deliveries. We stay on South Beach, and we have a fleet totally green. It's an electric car, so we go green for the city. I think this is the future. So this is why I base my business on the electric car. And we make local deliveries. So for curbside pickup, we are flexible on the services. We make same day delivery, next day delivery, or rush deliveries. So we are working 7 days a week. And that's it. Yes, thank you. This is my website.
Yes, so thank you so much. And so one of the questions we had was, you all do deliver to MidBeach. You do deliver between 24th and 63rd along Collins Ave and Indian Creek, correct?
We start even in South Beach, South Point to the 63rd.
To 63rd, right? South
Yeah.
63rd. So for this meeting and for the purposes of these members, everyone should be covered in this delivery. Now, one of the questions we received from a member was, what is your fee structure? How do folks, how is this different than DoorDash? We do recognize that your entire fleet is green and electric cars or some type of an active mode transportation for delivery. So it aligns with the goals of our sustainability
Totally.
vision here in the city and the residents would like to see. Aside from that, what is your how is your fee structure? How's that taken into account? What can we share with folks?
Well, what we can share, it's regarding, for me, it was important to be 100% electric, because this is the business of tomorrow. I mean, we are all around, to green the planet. So that was very important for me to make a business based on this.
Okay, and so we do see here how you can shop online and delivery, and as folks do engage with this platform, they can better understand the fee structure and what's to come. Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining. We have one question in the chat. Thank you, Eva Valero.
Yeah.
And we're encouraging everybody to check out the website and to be able to figure out those.
Figure out, yes. We do all kind of services we run errands, we deliver packages, we work with real estate for the deliveries of documents, even with law offices. We do many services to neighbor.
Great, thank you so much, Audrey.
Thank you.
And now for the featured item of today. So the reason why this special meeting was called, as most of you know, MBNA does not meet in July and they don't meet in August typically, nor do we meet in December to allow our hotel members to really focus on Art Basel and all the wonderful things that December brings to this community. And so we called a special meeting today to be able to reflect on the Surfside tragedy and the impact in MidBeach. In today's MBNA's panel, we will hear from the director, Salgueiro, and she will inform us on, give us an update if you can, on where we are with the projects, what we read recently, if anything has, if there's been any change over the last week on the percentage of properties that have responded with the request for the proper documentation. Again, what's going on? Give us a kind of a sense. Share with us a little bit about the resources, how folks can reach out. We have a couple of questions that have been prepared. And also we have a special guest that has been appointed by the state of Florida. And I think the Florida Ombudsman, Spencer Hennings, thank you so much for being with us. I think that usually you're either assisting with mitigating disputes between residents and condo before it gets to the state level, and assisting with elections. And there's many resources your office provides. And one of those is the resources in providing and assisting all of us in raising our capacity and understanding of the rights and roles and responsibilities of residents and condominiums. And so right now it's been a very trying time for this community. I want to congratulate the city and everyone. I can't imagine what I appreciate the response and the leadership that the city and the strength the city has shown in the residents and all of our volunteer efforts and just being there for each other as a community this past month. And we'd like to hear a little more about where we are in MidBeach and what we should, the questions that you all have been sending to us will give you an opportunity to ask those as well. So let's go ahead and begin with Spencer Hennings, and then we'll go and we'll save the director, Ana Salgueiro, for the end.
Sure. Listen, thank you so much for having me on. I see a lot of familiar faces from the commissioners, and I think I've met some of you at elections in MidBeach, actually. Funny fact, although my jurisdiction is the entire state of Florida, I actually happen to live in MidBeach. So it's a real pleasure to be here. And thank you to the MBNA for inviting me on again. It seems like a really great group, although this is my first meeting with you all. So I'd be happy to take a second just to explain the resources that my office offers and talk a little bit about the partnership I have with the city of Miami Beach now, who's been extremely welcoming. The first thing I'll say, as Anna Marie alluded to, we provide education. So unit owners, renters, attorneys even, managers call or email our Office of the Condominium Ombudsman. And we help clarify issues, help clarify what the law requires, what the law doesn't require, just sort of work through those issues with an educational approach. Secondly, we do dispute resolution. So we function as mediators, I would say. That's a voluntary mediation. Thirdly, we do election monitoring, as I mentioned before. So unit owners have the ability to send a petition to my office with either 15% or 6 unit owners signing on. So that's whichever is greater, 15% or 6 can send a petition to my office asking for an election monitor. And then I have a group of monitors throughout the state, about 20 to 30 at any given point in time, that I assign to go physically out to your association and conduct the election. We have tons of boards that make that petition, which I thought was surprising. I expected it to be only unit owners that were fearful that election misconduct was going to happen. But actually, we have tons of boards that reach out and ask for a monitor just so they can be sure that there's going to be no election misconduct that happens there, and that they're not going to have to defend themselves in arbitration after the election results are announced. So it's a fantastic resource with the election monitoring. And lastly, I'm responsible to work with the governor's office and the state legislature to recommend new policies and laws that are going to better protect our condo owners throughout the state.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hennings. And you did mention that you live in Miami Beach. Did you say the best neighborhood of? I'm sorry, what was that?
It is the best neighborhood in Miami Beach. Absolutely.
Okay. So so excited to have you here in MidBeach. And we're going to hold off on the questions directly to you. And because we'd like to hear from Ana Salguero. Go ahead.
Hi, good evening, and thank you for having me here. There were some questions that I was given beforehand, so I'm kind of going to go through them all. My name is Ana Salguero, and I'm the building director, and I'm also the building official for the city of Miami Beach. So the first question I was asked was very specific about MidBeach, and I wasn't really sure what that question meant. So I'm going to tell you about what we've been doing, because I don't divide up what I do necessarily for MidBeach and South Beach and North Beach. I think of it just as Miami Beach, except for when you're driving around and then you notice the difference. So
and also when you're doing budgeting or any legislative item, somehow MidBeach gets a little bit shorter end of that stick, and we contribute a lot to the general fund. And so we're always trying to figure out how to get our
We're not a general fund department. We're funded specifically by the permitting. So if you pull a permit, you're paying for, you're helping pay for my salary. So I'm not a general fund. We balance our own budget. But to know what we've been doing since the Surfside tragedy, what additional things we've been doing since the Surfside tragedy, in addition to our regular job, we did start the Friday after the collapse, visiting all 507 buildings that had the outstanding requirement for the 40-year recertification. In addition to that, and then we found with that 507 property survey, we found specifically 10 buildings that needed immediate action, and we posted, and luckily those 10 properties have either responded or we've taken action in sealing the building, or in one case we did have to vacate a building. And I know that these are the kinds of things where people read about this in the news and get very concerned, and they think that we're running out and vacating buildings. In the case of the building that we did vacate, that was on Indian Creek, it's 6881 Indian Creek. That building, they were planning on demolishing it in December. So they had stopped maintaining the building years ago, as they thought, well, we're going to knock it down anyways. And so when I went personally to visit the site, the engineer had provided a report, but he wouldn't provide a letter saying it was safe to occupy. And when I went to personally to visit the site, I found deficiencies in the roof. It's just a 2-story building, but there were deficiencies in the truss structure, there were deficiencies in the walls, there were deficiencies in the floors, and quite frankly, I did not feel that it was a structure that I could leave people. While I didn't feel it was going to immediately come crashing down, I really did not feel like I could just leave people there till December. And so because of this, that was the one we gave them a week to vacate, to give people time to find, give the owner time to find alternate lodging for everyone. We've also posted 420 buildings were posted. These 400 postings were for every building that has a 40-year report that's more than 90 days old. So we immediately posted those buildings, and we asked them to provide an updated report and make sure that there's a cover letter with it. Of those 420 that we've posted, we have received over 180 updated reports have been submitted. It's probably closer to 200 today, but I didn't run the numbers this afternoon, so I don't want to go that far. We have had 20% that haven't submitted a report. We have 56% that have both a permit already in issued status and have reports. And we have 24% where they do have they have a permit that's issued, they've provided reports, or they're fully approved. So that 24% number is increasing daily, the 20% number is decreasing daily, and the 56% stays about the same. It sort of gets added from one side and loses from the other, and we've been about the same. We did then post to everyone who hasn't provided anything at all last week during commission. So on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, we did post on those buildings that they had 30 days and we would either be taking them to special master or to unsafe structures. So and in addition to that, in 2015, the City of Miami Beach Commission voted to allow the Miami Beach to host the county's Unsafe Structures Board. So we're thinking that the best way for us to deal with things expeditiously isn't to go and take it to the county. It will be the same county board, but it will be hosted on Miami Beach. This way we won't have the delays when we take someone to the Unsafe Structures Board. Instead of us standing in line, because the county had over 1,100 buildings that are in the recertification process, and I'm not sure how many of those will be going to the county's Unsafe Structures Board. And I didn't want to be number 1,101 behind them when we went to the unsafe structures. So that's when we looked into hosting our own. Since the ordinance had already passed, it seemed like the best time to do it. It is some money we have to pull out of pocket in order to make this happen, but I think it will be best for the city, for the residents, and in order to show that we're serious about getting this done. Ideally, nothing will have to come to the Unsafe Structures Board because people will comply. And so that's sort of what we've been doing. And it's specifically—
Anna, can I jump in and ask you a question
Sure.
real quick? The Unsafe Structures Board, is that the same board that the county is using, or would Miami Beach have a completely separate board for our city cases?
It would be, so we don't use the same people on their board, but it is through the county. So they have to be vetted through the county process. And then we get from the county a list of 3 people. It's an engineer, an architect, and an attorney that would comprise the board. And so we've looked into, we remodeled our space, and coincidentally, in case the commission chamber isn't available, we could use, we created 2 back-to-back conference rooms that could be joined, so we can actually use those in order to host the events on site.
And for our condominium association members, because I think we all live in condos in MidBeach, so the unsafe structures is a last resort. That's for the buildings that just aren't doing anything after you've given them every opportunity, right? For the others, you're still working with them, sending them to special master where they get check-in reports.
I get where you're going, but no, I'm sorry, Commissioner. This is not the time to be warm and fuzzy. So this is the time to actually pull out the hammer. So we will be taking them to special master, but if they do not comply within a reasonable period, we will then escalate it to the Unsafe Structures Board. Because what I don't want is someone thinking, oh, I've got extra time. It's okay, I'll just mitigate my fines down and it'll be fine, and not actually acting. The cost of hiring an engineer is under $10,000. The cost of going to the Unsafe Structures Board without an attorney is about $3,500. So I don't think that it's worth going to the Unsafe Structures Board to kind of circumvent hiring an engineer or architect to do the recertification, at least to find out, because in a lot of these cases, we haven't gotten the reports telling us what are the problems in the building and where they need to go. And I understand that there are expenses to making the repairs if they haven't been doing regular maintenance on a property, that it can get expensive. However, we will work with you, but we need the report. So,
Right. And I'm not suggesting as well, because I think you went off on a different tangent about warm and fuzzy. What I'm trying to clarify, because I understand how the process works, if condominium buildings are hiring their engineers and doing the work that they need to do, they will continue to go through the process. This new tool that the commission approved is for the holdouts, the ones ignoring the city, not hiring the engineer. It's not about being warm and fuzzy. If you're working and you're doing what you need to do, you're not going to go there. The Unsafe Structures Board is for the people that aren't doing anything.
right. And that's exactly what we've looked at is,
What is the timeline though to say that you're not doing anything? How long does a building have from when they receive the letter to demonstrate that they are doing the due process before they
so
go?
there's 90 days. So that's 3 months.
Okay.
And in the 3 months, you hire an engineer or architect to look at the building structural and electrical systems. And it's mostly a visual inspection. It can go beyond that if the engineer finds deficiencies and or architect. And I always kind of leave out the architects, and I'm sorry about that. But it's a Florida licensed design professional that will conduct a deep investigation. So the visits that we did to the sites, I like to call them site surveys. So when you do 520 site surveys, 507 site surveys in a week, you are not spending hours at the building. You are not even spending an hour at the building. We sent a structural engineer and an electrical engineer to every building, which means they had a very short period of time to go kind of run around the outside of the building, run around the under area of the building and look and see if they found deficiencies. We have also received calls from people that are concerned about their buildings, and we have sent another, I think to date, it's about 180 buildings that we've gone and inspected in addition to the 507. So that's in addition to our daily issuing of permits, doing inspections, and following up on complaints for work without a permit. These are in addition to those, we've been doing these other additional inspections. And it's been kind of a tough thing, but it's the time to do something like this because you want to make sure that we're taking action. And I didn't mean to get, I just wanted people to understand if they're not acting, we're taking them to the Unsafe Structures Board. If they are responsive, we will always work with you. If you're responsive, if you've hired engineers, if you're moving in a direction, our goal is compliance. Our goal is never to bring out the hammer. Unfortunately, when there is no compliance, that's when we have to bring out the hammer.
So we have a few more questions we want to make sure we get to. And I know I see folks that are itching to be able to speak. If you would like to speak, please raise your digital hand and we'll go ahead and call on you. But we're going to go through 3 more quick questions. Director, you mentioned that the engineer and the electrician went out and surveyed the buildings or did site visits of these buildings. And so you mentioned it was very quick. There are questions being asked about the guidelines, and this is aligned with one of our other the question that Eda posed is another question that came in earlier today, was about guidelines and evaluation. How confident do you feel with those quick reviews that they are safe structures? Are you feeling that it was simple to be done, or are there new evaluation guidelines? And if so, when would those be implemented, or what kind of resources can the properties have to implement those?
Okay, so we're talking about 2 different things. The site surveys that we did are not part of the 40-year recertification process. They were simply to notify, to look into and make sure that the buildings that hadn't provided any information, that we did carefully look at them all. And so since
our question, just to clarify, our question comes from the chat and it's in general. It's the overall building. It's just the one that you go around and
yeah. So the next inspection, the inspection that you hire someone to do is a deeper inspection. So when you hire an engineer, or architect to do the 40-year inspection. There are a list of things. It starts with describing this building, describing the foundation structure, describing the if it's a slab, if it's a joist, what type of construction was used, all the construction materials, and the how you find them. So is there excessive cracking? Is there settlement? Do you find bulging? And there's a whole list of a laundry list of items for the structure. And by the same token, a laundry list of items for the electrical. Is it properly grounded? Or is everything labeled? Is it clearly labeled? Are there anything that looks like it was done work without a permit? All of these are questions that are asked and answered.
So the guideline for the 40 years, we understand.
Yeah, we understand. Alicia, 1 second though. So we do. And I think that I want to take it back again, back to the original question. So for the survey question though, that when the folks are going around looking at it, has that evaluation changed at all? Or how confident do you feel that with?
I don't know what that question means.
No,
So ask me the question, use all the words, because I don't understand it.
The general structure inspection, it can be done by a licensed structural engineer, is what she's saying. Now, the 40-year is a very different thing than just a general building. The 40-year has guidelines created and established, and they follow those guidelines. Now, the question to you is, if you're in the 20-year, the 30-year, you're not approaching the 40-year, are you going to, is there discussion taking place to lower, and I believe there is, of course, to lower from 40 to 30 or possibly even 20, so that we remember that all of us need to either special assess or budget in reserves or change the way many of these buildings operate to have the funds available to, we just hired somebody and it's $45,000 to do a full scale inspection of our structural, of everything, every component of the building. We're doing it because we want to make sure that everything is safe. Obviously, buyers are looking at that. Buyers of these condos are all asking for that. Realtors are asking for that. So, but not too many buildings have these kinds of funds. So it's two different things, preparing for the 40 than just doing a structural inspection of our communities.
You're correct. And doing a structural inspection, once you've hired an engineer to do the inspection, a structural engineer, I think the engineer will do something similar to the 40-year as far as look at the overall structure. They may want to do a deeper dive and look into the plans of it, but that's not something that is codified at this point. What we have been, I've been in contact with the county, and we have regular meetings to look at how to strengthen that 40-year process. And one of the things that's been discussed is lowering the number. They haven't, it hasn't been something that's gone to the county commission as of yet. And so I think one of the things when we were at commission that might help is if other cities, city of Miami Beach and other cities, reach out to the county and ask the county to make some changes to this so that it's done countywide, because I think that would be the best, because if we make stricter requirements just for Miami Beach, while it may make Miami Beach safer, it may also start to create a disparity on the prices and how much you have to pay for maintenance on Miami Beach versus any of the other cities.
Totally. I think it should go statewide, not only countywide, statewide.
It should be statewide, but
Level
really
playing field.
The 40-year recertification is only in Dade and Broward County. So hopefully this will become a statewide issue, but it hasn't been up until now. It has been a Miami-Dade and Broward County issue. So we're looking at it at the county level, and also that same group is also looking at it at the state level. But in case we don't get the traction we need at the state level, we may need to make some changes at the county level as far as who can do those recertifications, and it may get a little stricter. And the period of time, they may start a little sooner. The general talk has been about starting at 30 years, but then it's how long are they going to give us to do the catch up Because if not, next year we would be doing let's say next year or the year following year, you'd be doing 30 to 39 all on the same year. And then you have to kind of try to add those extra buildings and that extra work into the process. So I see what you're saying, and it seems, Alicia, like what you're doing is a very proactive thing. And I think a lot of the buildings are doing that now. They're saying, let's hire an engineer. Our building is only 25 years old or 30 years old or 20 years old. Let's hire an engineer to look at it. Or we're 45, so we are already recertified and we have 5 years to go, but let's start looking at it now. Let's start looking at the safety, because I think what we'll find, and one of the things that we don't want to do is swing the pendulum so strict that it becomes very difficult for a building to get the recertification. So I think one of the things we want to do is on one level is wait and see what we find out from this building. At the same time, start taking action to look at making this recertification process a little stricter, because really we may find that some of the problems in this building were problems that were inherent from construction, or we may find that it's something else and it wasn't necessarily a maintenance and 40-year issue by itself. So you know, not that I know anything. I've seen the same videos as everyone else, but you know, it's something that I think concerns us all.
So we have another question from a member who is asking, which authority can they reach out to if the association of the building is not addressing the recertification or purposefully filing for delays?
Okay, so I think one, we're not going to allow the association to purposefully file for delays. We're not going to allow someone to reach out and say, you know, we can't afford to hire an engineer right now. So that delay will no longer happen. We allowed a lot of extra time, really because of COVID and because of safety concerns. But I think we're at a point now, everyone's got the vaccine, or hopefully everyone has the vaccine. Everyone knows how to wear the mask and protect themselves. And we need to see how we can move this forward, because we don't want to try to work on a health crisis and create a safety crisis. I think if the building is not, if they're not being proactive, I think your first step is to always talk to the association and the management company of your building. I also think you should look and see, because all of these condo associations also have a legal representative. And so reach out to them and explain to them the liability involved. They may end up being a good ally for you to get what you need from your condo association. Yeah, Spencer?
Yeah, I just want to add something. Yep. This is actually an issue that I see very often now, and it's something that my office has been assisting with many times. Several buildings in Miami Beach, as a matter of fact, have reached out. And as you mentioned, there's no recertification mandate at the state level. And I can only work with state law. So I have no authority when it comes to city or county ordinances. So unfortunately, there's no recertification that I can enforce on buildings or that I can work with. But what I have been doing, just sort of as an educational mediator, is working with boards, working with unit owners, working with managers and attorneys to try to get that process going a little more quickly. So if you're experiencing an issue like that in your building, feel free to reach out, and I will do everything I can to get that sorted out. And I'm happy to work with the city. I've done that numerous times. And I also want to give a shout out to Vanessa Vasquez and Kevin Polito, who are absolutely fantastic at the city. And I work with them every Friday when I'm in the city hall. So this is a very common issue, is what I'm saying. And I'm happy to help if possible.
And just before we go to Pedro with that question, with the next question, Anna, did you want to say something before we go to?
No, just a quick, I had also included, if there's a bank loan on the building, reach out to the bank. Those are the bank, the lawyers. These are people that'll have an extra push that can force something to happen. And then I had Spencer as on my list too, of someone as a choice. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And Spencer, you do have every Friday, you have office hours at the City of Miami Beach from 11, is it 11 to 2? 11 to
Right now, it's 11 to 3, but we can expand it if needed. So I go there. Usually, it's completely booked by the time I get there. So it's 5, 6, 7 appointments back to back. There's no shortage of condo issues, especially in today's climate, as you can all can imagine. And so far, it's been very productive. Been able to resolve a lot of issues for the city. Not really, not most of them related to physical damage, but there's condo issues of every kind you can possibly imagine. Other than that, but yes, 11 to 3 every Friday. You can email the city or you can email myself, and I will put my contact information in the chat now.
That would be very helpful. Thank you so much. Pedro Rossi.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Pedro Rosier. I'm a state licensed general contractor, 40 years experience, and I do mitigation work, code mitigation work at the City of Miami Beach. I also live in a building in Miami Beach. Everything you're saying is wonderful. It's perfect. I understand that we're doing it. Problem is that we have one owner who is trying to sell the building. His interest is to sell the building to Mass Capital. The issue is that this person keeps on calling the city on a daily basis. For instance, today, he sent 5 emails to the city saying that we're doing work without permits, work that we do have permitted, engineering that we have permitted. So my question is, I believe, is simple. What is the city going to do to deal with these people that are constantly trying to cause trouble? They're wasting city time, our time, all kinds of issues. By luck today, one of the owners of the building, being an architect, would happen to be there when the inspector got. First words out of the inspector's mouth is, stop the work, you don't have permits. Well, we had to take the time to show him that we did have the permits. So without going into much more explanation, what is the city going to do about people that are just causing problems?
So I'm guessing it's directed at me. And I'd like to know who the inspector was offline so that I can talk to him, because if we sent an inspector out, understand this, whenever there's a complaint, we must follow up. But when the inspector goes out, the first thing he's supposed to do is look at the permit history. Because if you have a permit, we're not supposed to go in there and say, hey, stop working. Not unless you don't have your permit documents on there. Or
Anna, can you go ahead and unmute, please?
yeah, not unless you're working outside the scope of work, or you've exceeded the scope of work that you're being allowed to do. That would be the only time we'd issue a stop work to make sure that you get the right revision. But really, we must follow up on every complaint. And I understand your point. And sometimes it's frustrating for me too, because some of the complaints that we get repeatedly end up being issues with a neighbor over a fence. And while I'm not saying those are not important, those are not life safety issues. And for the most part, it's only when you have a pool and it's your pool barrier that it can be the life safety. So I can see your frustration and understand that whenever we get a complaint, we must respond to the complaint. And so, it's a balancing act. And sometimes we know we're going out several times in a row, but if everything's right at the job site, there's no reason we're allowed to go to any job site at any time. I can understand your frustration. I have felt it the same way, where someone decides that they've decided that something shouldn't have gotten a permit and start asking why we gave it a permit, and so I get where you're coming from, and it is something that we try to balance, and we have to balance responding to the complaints with taking the right, taking proper action. And so if someone does, and this is something I saw when I was at the county, where sometimes a neighbor will decide that they're going to turn in another neighbor and they're constantly doing it, and the county will go out 10, 12, 15 times, and we have to do it, because the one time that it would be a valid complaint, if we don't respond, then we're not doing our job.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And I'll just add, I've seen issues like this before, and we've actually found creative solutions by kind of thinking outside the box and scheduling meetings with board members and unit owners to get the association running a little more efficiently. So if you want to make an appointment, we can figure out some sort of creative solution there.
I want to thank you very much for the time you've taken to answer my question.
Thank you, Pedro. And for all of you that don't have a property after your name, please, just a friendly reminder, go ahead and add it. Alicia or other board members may be removing you from the meeting. So if you find yourself removed and added back in, it's usually because we don't know what property you are representing. And so I'm looking through the hands. Any other hands that I don't see raised? Anyone else that would like to share?
I'm just going to say briefly, I have to zoom off. I have a condo meeting for clients at 7, but thank you all. I look forward to seeing you next month. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Commissioner,
Bye, Commissioner,
for being with us. Okay, great. So any final thoughts or final comments from Mr. Hennings?
If there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I just want to say again, thank you, Anna Marie, for inviting me on. This really does seem like a great group, and it's good to know that, one, as the ombudsman, but two, just as a resident of MidBeach, that this exists. So it's fantastic. If there's anything that I can do for you, really anyone listening, feel free to reach out. As you know, I'm in the city hall every Friday, and I see all types of issues, but so far we've been able to find a lot of solutions to problems there, and it's very rewarding to work on issues in my own city. Usually it's just throughout the state, but yes, thanks for having me on, and anything else, anyone can reach out. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hennings. We appreciate it. We're going through a lot of stressful times. There's about 55 condominiums here present at this meeting, and everybody has quite a few questions and a lot of anxiety, a lot of unknowns, and so having an open line of communication with us would be a way that we can post it. We have a very intense website that covers everything that we're working on, so make sure you check it out, midbeach.net.
Yep.
And what we will post some of these pictures today, and then any questions or communication that you can provide us will certainly be beneficial. So we appreciate your time.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa, for closing that out. And directors, I'm going to say it right this time, Sagueiro. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Maybe by the end of the hour and a half, maybe.
No, that's fine.
In my mind, I had it based on the way it was pronounced, completely different pronunciation. So I apologize, but it's such a pleasure to meet you and,
Yes.
and to see you. I think we've been around since 2017, and I don't think we've ever had this pleasure before. We've never come to you, screaming and crying. And I feel everybody in the world is probably doing that, knocking at your door. And so to meet this request and to meet with all of us and to take this time, it's greatly appreciated by all of us. And so thank you. And
We'll be contacting you again to join us at future meetings. We hope you come and join us, because we have a lot of questions for you. I'm sure it's in the month ahead.
And you'll know that every single time we'll say again, what about MidBeach? What about specifically these properties? And it's just because we feel that we have to be that advocate and continue to focus on this particular area. As Commissioner Gongora mentioned earlier, we are all condominiums or hotels. And there was one final question that just came through that I did not ask, and it was asked before. And since we have 3 minutes before the next item, I want to go ahead and ask it quickly, is what about the hotels? So we have some residents that are budding hotels, or we have some hotels themselves that some residents fear that they might be unsafe, or that they're seeing situations that they're not liking. Is it the same process? They just call your office and make a suggestion for somebody to come out and check it out?
Yes, they can email us. So we have general emails. We've started during this process. What we have is a gentleman that works with us, Mohsen Jarapur, and every email that we get goes to Mohsen, and then he tracks them on a spreadsheet so that we make sure to visit every property that we're getting a complaint on. We have also our phone section, so anyone can call. We have 8 operators that are available, and we have 2 supervisors. So there are 10 people that take phone calls every day. We receive over 200 calls daily, and all the calls are answered. Occasionally, we do have people that wait on hold for a little bit. Some people just hang up after a few seconds and then call back, and then they get in the next time. But we have 8 call takers that are taking calls, answering questions.
Okay.
And again, when there's a concern on a building, they're taking note of those buildings so that we send someone out to check them out.
And the process is the same for hotels and condominiums, correct?
Everybody's the same. We
Great.
don't separate anyone. This is the recertification process. The process of getting a permit is the same for everyone.
Wonderful.
And we have
Last-
been checking the hotels also.
Wonderful. So last question comes from Oscar. Feel free to unmute.
Unmute.
Okay, there should be, there you go.
I unmute or I unmute?
Yes. We
Yes.
have,
The question is, are we going to have any discussion about the 5333 building on Collins?
Yes, so
That's
that is
coming next.
coming. That is our
That's
next
next?
item. That is our next
All right.
item.
No, it seemed to me that you were closing, and I wanted to
no,
make sure that.
with them, with the 2 of
So
them.
we're just closing this item on the agenda and we're moving on. And
Oh,
we're,
okay.
you know,
Okay,
I'm sure everybody
All right.
wants to get home.
sorry,
Enjoy.
sorry, thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today, to our panelists.
Thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
So our next very much anticipated item for the MBNA meeting is the 533 Collins Avenue project. And I would like to introduce Michael Patricio, Managing Director at Mass Capital, and he will do us the honor of introducing his team and today's presentation.
By the way, if you all want to see them in big, make sure you put, when you click on view in the top of your screens, click on speaker, and you'll be able to see their faces larger for the presentations. For those that don't know, just click on speaker instead of gallery. Okay, go ahead.
Anna Maria. Hi, Neeson Kasdan.
Hi, Neeson, how are you? So good
Good.
to see you.
Good to see you as well. Good to see you as
You
well.
have become a co-host in case you'd like to present yourself or
Well-
anyone else.
Michael Patrizio, who is the development director for this project, is going to present. But I wanted to take just a brief moment to introduce, first of all, it's great to see you again and your group. And I'm very proud to be presenting this project at 5333 Collins. The last time I was before your group was on the Amman Residences and Hotel, and there was a lot of enthusiasm, as you know, amongst your group for it. And I will tell you, the project has been an unbelievable success in terms of sales and the quality of people that they are attracting as that project's moving forward. This is another opportunity that the MidBeach neighborhood has to further enhance itself, quality, value, just all the right things for the MidBeach neighborhood. Now, look, I live at 45th Street in Jefferson, so I want to see the best for the neighborhood too. And so Mass Capital has put together an outstanding team. And I'll turn it over to Michael Patrizio to tell you about this project. And also, we're pleased to be working with the lead design architects as well, the Office of Metropolitan Architecture, New York office, that's Rem Koolhaas's firm. And I work closely with them on doing the Faena properties, the Faena West properties. They're one of the finest architecture firms in the world. So I'll turn it over to Michael, because I know your time is limited, and we thank you for giving us the opportunity to present.
Thanks, Neeson. So yeah, thank you to the MBNA for making time for us. I noticed before we start, there's a lot of folks from the Carriage House on. Just wanted to let you guys know that we've been trying to set up a meeting both with the Carriage House and with our neighbors at the Amethyst to present the project in more detail and kind of review any specific concerns or issues that you may have as we review the project. So I've been in touch with Henry Saloom at the Carriage House and with Mike Ekalas at the Amethyst. So kind of getting that out of the way. we are, we're really delighted and excited with the team we've put together and the concept. And if you could give control to, so we can put our presentation up to Yusuf Dennis. So if you get the presentation.
I didn't see Yusuf's.
As Jason Long and Yusuf Dennis.
Okay, so it might be under Jason. I was looking for it earlier.
Yeah, it says now Jason Long and Yusuf Dennis, OMA.
Wonderful. Hopefully I'll see you soon. And you are now co-host.
Fantastic. Oh.
All right, great. So what I'm going to do is kind of take you guys through some high-level points, and then I'm going to pass the presentation over to the designers. So if you can go to the next slide. So so some basic information to give you guys some idea of what it is that we've submitted for the designer review board for. So it's we're proposing a new residential condo, about 100 units, 17 stories, 200 feet tall, designed by OMA, as we just mentioned, and landscaped by Gustafson Porter Bowman. We're really delighted with the team and with the quality of designs they've put forward. The project is going to be presented to the Miami Beach DRB in September. Couple of highlights of the project: it's compliant with all the current zoning, and we're not asking for any variances or special approvals. No additional height, nothing fancy for the project. The couple of key points: the new building that these guys will see as the presentation goes forward is more than 20 feet further away from the carriage house to the north, and more than 20 feet further away on the south side to the Amethyst. So from the current La Costa Tower that's there. And another key point is that the base of the building is going to be really transformed from basically concrete parking lots and decks into a really lush tropical landscape. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jason Long, the partner in charge of design. I know people are short for time. Partner in charge for design, and Yusuf Ali Dennis, the project architect.
Thanks so much, Michael. Thank you everyone for taking the time to listen to this. We're very excited about this project, of course, and its potential, and hope you'll appreciate what we've come up with working together with MAST. Again, as Nisan and Michael mentioned, we're OMA. We're a firm originally founded by Dutch architect Bram Koolhaas, doing the project out of our New York office here. We also worked, and I worked specifically on the FINA Forum, the west side of the FINA project. Our practice in general is not necessarily about creating any one style, project to project, but finding a specific response to the specific conditions. And that's why the FINA Forum doesn't look anything like China Central Television headquarters, for example. We also have experience doing residential projects throughout the world, and of course in the United States, and also closest to you at Park Grove in Coconut Grove, just across the bay. And we're excited to be working with Gustafson Porter, kind of world-renowned landscape architect. They're working on the Olympics in Paris that will be coming up in 3 years, and are also famous for having designed the Diana Memorial in Hyde Park. And I think they're bringing something very special to Miami Beach with this project. So the project itself, as I'm sure you probably know, at 533 Collins, is in an area of MidBeach that we think is really magical, where obviously the blocks stretch essentially from the ocean to Indian Creek. And on the site, specifically the building that's there now, the La Costa, tries to take advantage of the dual views that you have, both to the ocean and then back to the west, to the sunset and to the downtown Miami, by utilizing a kind of dogleg configuration, kind of tilting the west end of the building down. And that's effective in capturing the potentials of the views of the site in some ways, but the ramification is that it means the building gets very close, as Michael mentioned, to the carriage house to the north, and really occupies almost the full width of the site. And we wanted to have an approach that would really capture the potential for views, and the potential of the site, but open it up and avoid views, kind of proximity to the neighbor and views of the neighbors. And so we really thought, what if this was a smaller building, almost a villa? How would we orient it? And the solution for that would be to rotate it kind of 45 degrees to the main north-south orientation of the beach, so that you get views in all the different directions, to the ocean, to the city, to the sunset, and you also angle away from the neighbors. And we wanted to then multiply that, almost like taking a series of villas, like what you see on the other side of Indian Creek, and extending them across the site. Of course, we're working on here a project that isn't a series of villas, it's a larger tower. And so we extrude those simple volumes and then merge them together, sculpting the top and the base of the building to create more of a sense of openness at the ground and also openness at the sky as well. And here you see an initial concept model. You can also see, if you can see it on the camera, it's in front of Yusuf and I right now. And we thought that the potential of this, really the zigzag that you get, is that it means that everyone within gets views, but we also make a very compact volume on the site. And here you see an image of that in place. And I'll turn it over to Yusuf to talk more about other aspects of the project.
Yeah, so as Jason mentioned, instead of maximizing the zoning envelope or maximizing the height that's allowable on the site, we've carefully sculpted the form to provide a series of terraces that step down towards Indian Creek and towards the ocean. And at the base, we're also carving away moments to create a greater sense of entry and also bring the exterior amenities into the building and almost kind of touch the ground very lightly and also step down from the top. So here, seen from the beach, the form, again, instead of maxing out the height, gently steps down towards the beach, and at the base also steps up towards the beach to create a kind of what we think is a really kind of welcoming entrance. And as Michael mentioned earlier, here you can see an overlay of the existing La Costa here in black, and then the proposed volume here in red, where we're really increasing by creating this more compact volume, we're increasing the distance that we have from the carriage house from 52 feet to 73 feet, and then from the Amethyst from 42 feet to 62 feet. So we think by its positioning in the center of the site, it's really kind of creating a porosity towards the ocean from Collins Avenue. Here you see an existing image of the kind of La Costa Tower, and then the proposed really allows for a much more space in between the towers, and even as you're passing along for kind of views of the sky instead of a kind of wall. And then here seen from Indian Creek. For the facade, again, I think we wanted this to really feel of its place and of its context, and we're using a variety of materials and shapes and colors even to help achieve that. And we think that this kind of variation of shape and color really feels at home within the MidBeach neighborhood. For the arrivals, as you approach along Collins, as I mentioned, the form steps up to create a generous portico share moment here, that instead of adding an additional canopy, we have a kind of verdant and green buffer against Collins Avenue. And I think the building really touches the ground very lightly. You can see the outline of the ground floor is quite minimal on the site, really allowing for maximum landscaping and really kind of maximum sense of openness across the site. And then here you can see a view from the pool deck looking back towards Collins. And we've been working together with Gustafson Porter to really, transform what is really almost kind of concrete jungle at the moment with only 3,500 square feet of kind of green space into a kind of more verdant tropical garden with, over 35,000 square feet of green space. So, I think we think that this building will be a kind of welcome, fitting, and hopefully timeless addition to the MidBeach neighborhood. And with that, really thank you for the time and the opportunity to present this project to you.
Thank you for that, for the excellent presentation. If you'd like to just unshare your screen a moment, and we're going to take some questions that have come in through the chat and that have also been sent to us specifically. So we heard from one person mentioning the height, and you mentioned that you weren't maximizing the allowable height that's zoned there. And so if you could just go over that a little bit, share with us, what is the height increase from the current or the past project or the current property and this future property, and what is allowable and what is the difference between them?
If I may start, Anna Marie, the height at its peak will be the maximum that is allowed in that zoning district, which is 200 feet.
That's only the center portion, right? That's only the
right. That's only the center. So the comment I think he was making is that is not maximizing the height throughout
the whole
entire property, same as well not maximizing or minimizing the setbacks for the entire property. But it is going to be the maximum height will be the standard 200 feet that's allowed in the R3 district.
Beautiful. I think.
How many stories is that? How many stories?
I believe 17 is what's proposed.
That includes the penthouse and common areas and amenities and all of that. The top level is 17?
Top habitable floor is 17.
And right now, La Costa is how many floors? Do we know that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Michael?
Probably 15.
I believe it's 14. I believe it's 14.
So we're only talking about going up 3 stories. Is that? I know you talk in feet, but we talk in floors.
Yeah, it's basically about 3 to 4 stories.
Yeah,
higher than what's there now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think through the chat they're talking about it being 12 now, and that it's about 50 feet. But yes, only a few
3 stories
in the center, and then the design would allow for the other areas to kind of waver off. So there's many members that are on today that had interest in this particular presentation. If you'd like to speak, if you could raise your digital hand. Okay, Joelle, I believe that you had a question or comment.
Let me see if anybody else.
And
hello. How are you? This is Joel. How are you going to deal, especially because the people that are on the south, and the building connection is right on top of each other. How are you going to deal with the dust and all I would assume you're going to bring it down the same way they did the balance of Surfside. In reference to us, our building, the dust and the control that's going to hit us.
The question is in reference to demolition?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually, and Michael might want to address this, but the city of Miami Beach has very rigorous standards with regard to demolition. The demolition plan has to be approved by the building department. And one of the mandates in that is there must be dust control and the control of the spread of any debris. I don't know if Michael has maybe more familiar.
Yeah, I'll add to that. This amongst I'll say other concerns that obviously come up when you're building a new building next to an older building. We're going to address a lot of those when we have the meeting with the specific neighbors. With anything regarding demolition, as Neeson said, we're going to work closely with the city of Miami Beach, and we're going to be good neighbors. With every concern that comes up, we're going to do our best to address it.
And I think I can also, I don't think I'm speaking out of school by saying that also, to the extent there are things like dust that go onto your property, they will take care of making sure and paying for it to be cleaned, and so that they will assist you in that regard.
And as many of those conversations that we can have prior to the project starting, then it will be better for the overall community. So Joelle, thank you for bringing up that concern, and hopefully we can set up some protocols prior to the project starting. And we're going to go, I see a couple of other hands, like physically up, please raise your digital hand. If not, just place in the chat and we'll go ahead and address it. The next person is Marlene and Pedro Rossi.
Pedro, talk.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't get my thing to unmute. Mr. Patricio, who are you speaking with at the Amethyst?
Specifically with Maite Callas.
With
Property
who?
manager. Maite Callas. The property
Maite
manager.
Callas. Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Great. Thank you for the question. I did see one other hand. Oscar, I believe your hand was up. Did you not want to ask?
Me?
No, it was, well, go ahead.
I'm ready. I'm
I
ready.
saw Oscar before, so that's the only reason why.
I don't know what happened to my hand.
It's okay. Onyx, I do recognize you though, and you're coming up next. One
Okay,
second.
no problem. Go ahead.
Yes, please, Oscar.
Is this presentation going to be available? Like you said, something that this meeting is recorded. How do we get to see that presentation again?
Sure. So Alicia Casanova is going to share her screen with you right now, and she's going to show you www.midbeach.net.
Okay.
And she manages the website. So everybody should take a moment this evening and clap as loud as you can.
All right. Thank
She
you.
puts every comment to every item that MBNA goes and works on is on this website. And she spends hours working on this. So believe me, she's already taken screenshots of this. This will be up and posted everywhere. We'll have lots of excitement for this project and any concerns as well. So Joelle's question about demolition, the contacts at any question that's provided during these meetings are also going to be posted about the project. And we'll be monitoring the project and just kind of assisting in providing any information that we receive from the team. We'll go ahead and provide it out for the community. So here it is under current projects.
So we will be adding 5333, since this is such an important project for the MidBeach community and all of you, we will be adding that this week in here. Right now, all these are the ones that we're actively working with, which is Beach Walk Working Group. These are all the things that are happening with Beach Walk, the amenities, everything that's happening, videos, recordings, communications with city staff, everything there is to know. There's all these different projects. I'm not going to go into it obviously now, but make sure you click on midbeach.net, current projects, and scroll down and give me a couple of days and we'll get this meeting and this recording up on our website for you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. One more question.
Yes, Oscar.
Is there going to be an access path alley from Collins to the beach?
Good question.
In terms of
Like they did at 57 Ocean.
Yeah, like
the 5333 project, no. Because remember at 50, literally on the other side of the Amethyst, you have a large public beach and access.
That's true.
So the reason why it was done at 57 Ocean, which I also represented, is because there was no beach access between 54th Street and I think you have to go up to a small access maybe at 60th Street where the bath club was.
Yeah, there were two blocks, two and a half blocks where we didn't have access at 57. So that's why we felt that would assist. So that makes sense. Thank you so much for that question. Onyx and then Anna.
One more question. I have one more question. When did they anticipate?
Sorry, Michelle, 1 second. Please. We're going to go to Onyx, Anna, and then we'll go to the board member, Michelle. Is that okay, Michelle? I know that the others will. Thank you, Michelle. Onyx. And I might, if I'm not pronouncing your name, please.
All right. You hear me? I just unmuted myself. Thank you for having this meeting. Very enlightening. I actually live at the Amethyst. I am going to be a neighbor, hopefully a friendly neighbor. If all goes well and this plan is approved, when is this plan to be happening? When is the demolition going to happen? I know that everything has requirements. We're concerned the Amethyst is going to be a 60-year-old building. And that is concerning for me. I've been living there for 21 years. Don't plan to leave anytime soon. Want to be your neighbor, enjoy the view of your building as well. But when is this happening? And how long is this going to happen for? That is my question.
Timeline is the question.
Yes.
Timeline. Can you provide us a timeline?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll answer that. So thanks for the question. It's a really good question. You know, a lot of this is going to, the timing is going to depend on our sales. You know, in order for us to begin construction with our construction lender, you know, we need to have a certain number of sales before we begin. So a lot of that is really depends on the sale process and as we sell these condos. Regarding we'll say the demolition, that's also dependent on sales.
Can you give us a range of time? Can you give us a range? So like from this about design, about da-da-da, about da-da-da, da-da-da.
Well, a lot of it depends on the market, right? So a lot of it depends on the market. So I can say that we're probably looking at well, demolition. If the question is about demolition is not like imminent right now in our plan. So it's not like next week or next month or anything like that, because it's going to be dependent on lender requirements, things like that. We're probably looking towards the middle of next year, realistically. But you know, the things, you know, obviously things can change in you know, in many different directions. But that's really what we're looking at. And then construction probably isn't going to start, depending on sales. Probably, you know, we have to get our permits, you know, entitlements, approvals, things like that. We're looking probably at January of 2023. January of 2023 is what we're probably looking at starting construction. And then from there, it's a 2-year process. So 23 to around 25, more or less.
You don't have to go to any variances, anything that what usually delays these projects are going in front of commission and DRB and all of that. You don't have to do any of that?
Well, we do have to go before the design review board, but we're not seeking any variances or any change in zoning, which require any other approval.
Okay, we're going to go back to Onyx so she can finish. Then we'll go to Anna, Michelle, and then Alicia, if you have any other follow-up questions. Onyx, for timeline.
I know.
Hear that it was 18 months. They're thinking, and then, or 6 months, and then they, oh, go ahead.
Thank you, thank you. To my understanding, the current structure that's there, it has a red tag. So they're given 30 days to the residents that currently live there because it's an unsafe structure. So that becomes, if we're gonna wait a year and some to do whatever you're going to plan on doing, how is that structure that is currently there going to be safeguarded, so that way nothing happens to it by mistake or because nothing's done to it right now to keep it up until the plans get approved and everything else?
Actually, Onyx, that's an excellent question. I've unmuted myself because this is time for me to talk. Thank you. They have been working diligently. So understand this, as far as the La Costa is concerned, I received 2 different engineers' reports. One engineer's report had the repairs that were needed, but didn't say that it was safe to occupy. And then the other engineer's report had a stricter requirement and then said, if all these things are done, then it'll be safe to occupy. So that's why the demolition order, or at least the vacate order, wasn't get out immediately. Okay. They actually were given a month. It's the only property that got like a very lenient timeline because they have since then properly shored the building, emptied the pool, protected the area, and worked to secure that the stairs are safe for egress. So it's not something where they get to do nothing for the building at all. They have had to secure the building in order to make sure that the building can remain. So standing safely until it's time until all the proper permits are issued and it's time to bring the building down. So that's one of the reasons why I raised my hand, is because I knew we were going to go kind of in this direction. And I've been working, I think, pretty closely. And that's one of the things that the commissioner mentioned before is, you know, my goal is never to have people become homeless. The goal is never, it's to get compliance, is to ensure safety. And we've been working hand in hand and with both sets of engineers initially, and then it's continued the process. And so we are working to keep the building safe and standing safely until it's time to bring the building down with permits again safely. And so I think that's everyone's goal. It's definitely mine. It's the thing that helps me, you know, close my eyes and go to sleep at night. So I just wanted to discuss that, and sorry to sort of interrupt, but
Thank you.
That was perfect timing. And I just want to jump back. Onyx, did we answer all of your questions?
Yes, and I'm assuming that once that the demolition and everything is on its way, that we as neighbors are going to be able to follow certain guidelines so we can secure our building when the demolition happens, because I'm thinking that is going to affect my building. That's my only thing, and the buildings around the two parallel buildings on this area. So that for me is, I don't want it to affect my building. It's a 60-year-old building.
Depending on the method that they choose for demolition is what notification has to happen towards the neighbors, and how much of a timeline. I can tell you now, and I've worked with demolitions that have been done by implosion and worked with demolitions that have been done in standard methods. And if they're done carefully, both are successful. But a demolition by implosion is not a quick deal. They do giant surveys of every property around it and take photographic evidence to make sure, because when you do an implosion, you don't just go out there tomorrow with explosives and blow up the building. You actually plan for it. I know that when we saw it in Surfside, you saw it happen pretty quickly, but I can tell you from behind the scenes, when it happened at 500 Alton, it was months of planning and careful planning in order to make sure that it wasn't just looking at the explosive safety, it was also looking at the area beyond, what time it was going to happen, what were the requirements in order to cover air conditioners from nearby buildings for X period of time, what were because what you want to do is do it at a time, if you choose to go that route, you try to do it at a time where it's the least impactful to everybody's daily life. And so that one was done actually in the middle of the day.
Didn't someone get injured though? Wasn't there a
No. And Marie, the one that had the injury was actually being done by conventional methods, and that was in 5775. That was the Marlborough House, where they were using conventional methods and then decided to do it in a way that is not the most efficient and code reliant way. And so they started doing, instead of using the conventional methods in the conventional way, they used conventional methods in an unconventional way, and the results were disastrous.
What was the project you just referred to? Because that was the only project what was the project you were referring to before?
So the project I referred to is the 500 Collins, 500 Alton, 500 Alton.
Okay, I'm sorry.
500 Alton.
I'm like MidBeach, like blinders.
I know. And so, and trust me that the 5775 was something that where they had asked for implosion, and the city had decided not to allow implosion for safety's sake. And then what ended up happening was less safe than we've seen. You've now seen in Surfside that building was imploded. A partial building was imploded next to neighbors in the middle of the night, you know, and so it was successful. So so long as things are done safely, either way, it's a good thing. So long as things are done safely and all safety is carried out. And that's something that did not happen in the case of that demolition, but it was not by implosion.
Anna, you had your hand up while Onyx had her hand up, and you lowered it.
That was why.
Anything else that you wanted to add?
No, just I wanted to mention the fact that there was shoring and the safety that had been taken, because it's La Costa is one of the buildings that is in the 40-year recertification process. They have provided reports. The reports have shown where the deficiencies are, and the building is dealing with the deficiencies by shoring, by preparing, by doing things to extend this period of the building.
Thank you for that. Michelle Redlick.
My question was just about the timeline, how many years would take to complete, and it was answered approximately by 2025.
2025, and Michael, confirm, you said 2 years from January, so 2025 or 2024?
Well, we start, it'll be, next year will be 22. Yeah, we're looking at 2025, obviously dependent on sales, permitting, and lots of other things, you know.
Michelle will take care of that for you. It'll be sold like over.
Yeah.
You know, she's.
Yeah, Anna's gonna take care of it as well, right?
Yeah. Here we go. There we go. Okay, and we'll also be promoting it. We're so excited to see such a beautiful project come to our community, but we want to be sensitive to any of the concerns that our residents and neighbors may have, and I know that we can always come to an agreement on any of these issues. But for overall, for the community, it's exciting to see this type of caliber of project, and to see this group of architects and professionals and Mass Capital behind it. The landscape architect, I know personally, I'm very, very, very honored and to live in this neighborhood, and excited to see this project come and become a reality. Now there was, Alicia, did you have a comment?
Okay, no, I'm reading some questions here. About soils bearing pressures and stresses and all of that, as far as soil studies, I'm sure that's gonna happen. Somebody wants to answer that?
Sorry, Alicia, thank you for reminding me. So there was shade. Nisan, you did an amazing like a shade analysis with the Amman project that really helped our member Fayena residences better understand what the impact was to the ocean and to their property. Has anything like that been done for this project?
Yes, we are working on that, Anna Marie, as we speak, and we will have something to present to the immediate neighbors as well to show them exactly the impacts or lack of impact versus the existing building that's there.
Great, and we would love to be, if we can, please, before or when it goes out to everyone, just let us know so that we can also put a link to it on our website. And then the other one was for soil. I believe you've done those studies, or we've seen some of that in the past. Can you share a little bit, or could you respond to that question or that concern?
I would turn to Michael, but of course it's standard procedure is to do appropriate geotechnical studies before you commence any work on the property. I don't know, Michael, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, we're most definitely going to be doing the proper geotechnical studies for the site. Obviously, there's a building standing there now, but we're going to be doing quite a lot of testing, and we will be very sensitive to everyone's concerns, including ours.
Great, and timeline for that, more or less, just to have a sense, like shade or soil, or what are the timelines for that? Because that would come before, I'm assuming, in the next 6 months.
Well, the shade studies we will have done within the next few weeks.
Great.
And we'll be presenting those. We'll be presenting those to the Amethyst and to the Carriage House folks. There's going to be a very specific presentation, a longer version of this one that'll go to them. As I said, we're trying to get that set up with Maite Callas at Amethyst, and I know that I've been speaking to Henry Saloom at Carriage House, and the property manager happens to be on vacation. Otherwise, we probably would have had something scheduled already. But
wonderful. Well, we appreciate that you did make your presentation brief and we were able to answer all the questions. This has been a wonderful special meeting. I want to thank again all of our panelists. I encourage all of our members to attend the September 1st Candidate Forum and the general member meeting. And for this project, please, let's follow it closely. We're excited. Thank you so much for presenting it first here at MBNA. And this meeting has adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, everyone. Night.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you for a great meeting.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you so much for the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Keep now.
Onyx, if you'd like to share with us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very nice meeting.
Thank you.
What is it, Anna?
If you'd like to share your contact information in the chat.
I was going to right now. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Michael, Patricio, if you want to share a copy of the presentation, that would be very helpful.
Yes, we can put that in the website as well.
If it's available.
A majority of this is in the DRB submittal.
Onyx, if you can hear me, include me.
Oops, go ahead and unmute. If you want to speak with Onyx, you can chat with her. Michael, you said it's in the DRB agenda packet. We can download it from that and we can upload that present. We can refer to that.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And the shade, I'm assuming, will probably go into the DRB, maybe, or is that too soon?
That's not included in the DRB package. No, it's not. But we'll provide that as soon as it's ready.
Great.
Can I just ask a question, so just still on about the project? Do you have an idea of the prices, the on average per square foot?
It's going to be in line with the market for the luxury product on the beach. So it's going to be in the we're still working on the pricing. Let me say that, because it changes by day. It seems to be going up every single day, which is kind of counterintuitive for a developer from our side to kind of be saying, whoa.
Michelle is a prominent realtor.
When are you starting the sales? I mean, now I can talk about this because the meeting's officially adjourned. So, and you're the source.